Well. So Mike, do you know what Joel Embiid and Connor McDavid have in common with our guest today? Do you have any idea what those two players in basketball and hockey may have in common with our guest?
Davis, I always do my homework, okay? I never come
Yeah.
unprepared for the PPL podcast. I can tell you those two individuals and our guest you're about to introduce are all MVPs.
Oh my God. And for those that are challenged with that, that's most valuable player. And our guest today, playing for the Arkansas Matrix and the PPL, amongst other things that we'll get into, the amazing, the big slammer. We got Nico Agritelley, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having me on today.
No problem, buddy. What do you think about that little intro? Do you like hearing that about yourself?
Yeah, that was nice. You practiced that a couple times?
No, yeah, in the car on the way here, for sure. Maybe in the shower. I'm not gonna lie. What's going on, buddy? So you're on the train because that's how MVPs roll. You're going from one place to the other.
You know
You've
it.
had an incredible busy last few months. Let's before we get into the obvious stuff, the PPL and Arkansas and everything else to do with that. What are you doing right now?
Right now, this past week, Luis and I were in New York. We just became ambassadors of Paddle House. So we spent the week here with them. We did a couple clinics with the Paddle House guys. Great community. And then we did an exhibition yesterday with Sabad Noroni and Juan Martin Diaz, which was an incredible experience. And then today, I'm currently on the train going to visit my uncle up in the suburbs.
Wow. So Mike, just so you know, Mike, he named two legends that they did an exhibition with. Neroni played for the LA Beat with Luis Estrada and the PPL, and Juan Martin Diaz is a former #1 player not too long ago.
Yep.
So this was a legendary exhibition. Did you and Luis play together?
Yeah, Luis and I played together. The first two sets we lost 6-2, 6-4. We were actually up 2-0 in the first set. We broke them right off the bat. And I was like, oh man, we have a chance to make this competitive. And then they turned on the afterburners and they beat us 6-2 that first set.
Well, if there was any pairing or any guys, especially on the US side, that I think that could beat those two, it would be you and Luis. I got to have a first row seat of your performance and Luis Estrada's performance all throughout the PPL Cup. And you just blew me away, and I think you blew a lot of people away. How nice you fit in with all the international stars that have come in. And I know that's probably a feeling of a huge accomplishment for you, but wow, like what a from just an eye test watching the two of you play, at times I would say you guys look like you were the standouts of the league in my eyes. So congratulations to the two of you for coming into that and being as good as you are. Now that's not really a question, but Mike, you've got a million questions, so I'm going to let you go at it a little bit.
All right. Firstly, again, I'd like to echo those sentiments. Congratulations, Nico, on receiving the PPL 2023 Men's MVP Award. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate it.
Just so we know, who votes for the MVP? I'm just curious. Maybe you know, Davis, but what is the process? Is this
Nico and his family? No, the process. The process is exactly how I think it should be. He's voted MVP by his peers, so the players within the PPL were given an opportunity to vote. And I think, like the way I look at it as an MVP is someone who they're the most valuable player for their team, right? So they're the MVP of the league, but they're the MVP of their team. And I really do feel that Nico was deserving of this because of how he managed to, from week one of the PPL all the way through to the semifinals, was able to bring his A game consistently. And I think his passion and his level of play helped propel his team to many victories. It's not just the way he plays, it's his attitude, his swagger, not in a cocky way, but in a I'm going to get you kind of way. And the dude hit more smashes out of play than I've ever seen in my life. So I think that helped him.
So my big question for you, Nico, is were you surprised to be honored with the inaugural MVP award?
Yeah, I was 100%. I mean, there was great talent in the field. Guga is an incredible player. Ruben's an incredible player. I mean, Augustin Torre, even though he was there all the weeks, I mean, these guys are unbelievable. So, I mean, honestly, I thought Guga was going to win it for sure. And then they're having the ceremony, and the guy's giving out the awards, like, "Hey, Nico, come down here." And I'm like,
Subtle.
well, why do I need to be on the floor? That's when I was like, okay, that's a little strange. And then they were doing those speeches, and then they said my name, and I was like, I know why
Now
I
you
needed
know
to be on
why.
the
Now you
floor.
know why. But I think,
Yeah.
you know, I think you mentioned Guga. What a standout performance he had from beginning to end. Obviously, he was these. By the way, Mike, I'm not sure you know this, but this voting happened prior to playoffs, right? So that's important to note that you know, like if you're voting right after, maybe Guga gets a little bit more support from his peers. But you know, like you mentioned, all the people who I would have voted as well for. Ruben had an incredible 4 or 5 weeks. You had an incredible 4 or 5 weeks. Guga had an incredible, like, you know, like all of you would have been deserving of it. But I think it shows that you were voted on by your peers, that there's a respect level for you. I mean, you're smashing it down their throats every 5 seconds. So it's not because they like that. So there's clearly some respect there for you. And I think that's an incredible achievement for you, not just winning the award, but knowing that your peers feel that way about you. Um, let's go back. Let's go back to draft day, all the way back to draft day. And what an exciting moment. I was a part of that for the Miami Paddle Club. And you were selected, I believe, was it third overall, fourth overall?
So one of those two. It was third or fourth. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. So Vegas, I know, had first pick and they picked an international. But I do believe you were the first American.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's an incredible achievement. And then probably the second American was Luis Estrada.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So that's an incredible. So how did that feel? I mean, I think you knew going in, you had a good vibe that Arkansas was going to pick you based on the draft order. So there was that feeling. I was potentially going to try to steal you if you fell, but I didn't think you would fall down to 7 where we picked. Because I just felt there was very few of you that played the right side. Right. So you know, I dreamt up a scenario and I loved, oh my God, Jose Azripe was my hero. So I wouldn't change anything to not have him again. But I really felt you and Ruben, that would have been a little difficult for people, don't you think?
That would have been a really tough team to beat.
That would have been a difficult team to beat. So fast forward, you get drafted. Firstly, how did that feel just to be drafted in general?
Well, I mean, that was my first like professional draft. So going into it, I mean, I had a good feeling inside that I was going to get drafted, but I was still nervous. And I
Yeah.
was sitting there. It was in between lessons actually, and I have my phone, we're turning it on, and I talked to a couple of the clubs. I think we talked. I talked to Vegas. I talked to San Diego, and they all expressed interest in me. So I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna get drafted, but I didn't know what order. I'm sitting there watching it on my phone. The first two go by. And then I knew Shannon from juniors tennis, so I knew she wanted to draft me. So as soon as
Yeah.
and then my name got called, it was an incredible feeling, and a little bit relieving too. Just again, I didn't know if I was going to get drafted. I thought I was, but it was awesome. And then Shannon and I were texting back and forth. Johan and I were texting back and forth. It was a lot of fun. And actually, I didn't get to finish the whole draft because I had to go back to a lesson. So I'm sitting there like, I don't know who else is getting picked. Shannon was shooting me text messages afterwards, and I couldn't allow him. So I had to go back on court to teach.
That's so fun. Are you teaching tennis or Padel?
Only Padel, no tennis.
Good for you. But you played tennis as a junior like a lot of Americans, right?
Correct. I grew up playing tennis, played college tennis, and it's after college tennis, after I graduated, I started playing Padel.
Mike, I see you. You got
Yeah,
it.
I got so many questions because you're an American, Nico. I'm curious, how were you introduced to the sport of Padel, and what made you fall in love with Padel?
So the year I graduated college was 2017, and that was the same year that we built 3 courts at my club, T-Bar M. So when they were being built and I was in college, I've heard about the sport. I looked up some YouTube videos and such, but I never got to play. So as soon as I graduated, I was really burnt out from tennis. College tennis was, it was like a job. So I started
It's a
playing.
grind. It's a grind.
I was sold. And it fits my tennis game style too. In tennis, I was a serve and volleyer. I came to the nets. I sliced a lot. So I was like, I mean, heck, this sport is made for me.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah. And Luis Estrada, very similar, right? Picked it up like either during his last year of college and or afterwards. You guys both look like, and again, this is going to sound controversial a little bit, but there are a lot of converted tennis players into Padel that I don't feel have transitioned as smooth as the two of you have in the overall look, like the athleticism that comes from tennis. You've transitioned right into Padel, but you've also, from a technical standpoint, I think you passed the eye test for majority of people in regards to just, do you know what I mean? Like that feeling of being smooth with your strokes, understanding the technique that comes behind it. A lot of players we saw this PPL Cup, the transition from tennis to Padel, it was obvious to me.
Yeah.
And but with you and Luis, I actually, even our owners and a lot of people, managers that we talk to, they're like, wow, these two really separate themselves from the rest of the pack, just even in how they look. How do you explain that?
Well, especially when I first started playing, I didn't have a coach. I didn't have anybody to feed me balls. So it was all self-taught. So me and my brother actually in 2017, 2018, we'd go out there and just do like down the line, wall to wall. Yeah, William. Yep. Yep. So, and that's kind of how we learned how to play off the walls from there. And then how we kind of got like the technique behind it is just, I mean, I'd watch YouTube videos, I'd watch Instagram reels or whatever it was, and I see, oh, they're doing this. Okay, so I need to do that. And then I also improved a lot by recording myself. So like we would go play a practice match at T-Bar. I would record it on my phone, and then I'd go watch it. Oh, like I hit a bandeja in the middle, and it sat up. Like that was a terrible shot. I seeing that all these pros are hitting the bandejas more to the corner, making them go off a double wall, whatever it is. And so that's how I improved a lot. Improved my technique, improved my strategy, is watching myself and then trying to compare it to the pros, copying the pros.
Well, listening to your story, Nico, it sounds like, you know, your life as a Padel player, now the MVP of the PPL, it starts because of infrastructure. Like you were able to access a Padel court. Like, I'm just curious, if you had more Padel courts across North America, so USA and Canada, there would be thousands of Nicos.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things that we need is we need more courts so more Nicos can get access to the sport. I have a lot of ex-college tennis friends, and they're going over to pickleball because they have 30 pickleball courts around their house, and they don't have any Padel courts. So if we had more Padel courts, then people could play. And then not only do we need courts, but we need coaches as well, because you could have some courts, but if nobody's there to teach you how to play, I mean, it takes a lot of discipline for somebody to record themselves, take a look at video, all this stuff. I mean, I was doing it correctly, but I mean, a lot of people might just go out there and they're like, oh, I play high level tennis. I'm just going to play tennis on the Padel court and just be content with only reaching a certain level.
Yeah, you have the drive and the ambition separate you from potentially other people in that the amount of time you took. But I guess it started off with a passion, right? You saw something, you tried, and you're like, wow, this is, and I like what you said earlier. Your style of tennis was easier to translate into Padel than any other than other sports. So you were able to, through your serve and volley game, the backhand slice. These are things that if I, for two-handed backhands, I see like Jose Azripe has a two-handed backhand when he hits on the Padel court, and he does it fine. But
yep,
like and Marta Morero is another one. It's a nice two-handed backhand transitioning from tennis. But I like what you're saying about, like, you looked at your own skill set and you're like, wait a minute here. Like, I got great hands at the net. I got power at the net. I have great lunging and footwork toward the net. This is something that I could do. So I wish everybody had that drive. But Mike, back to your original kind of question here, is like access to these courts seems to be the issue. But I think that the Pro Paddle League will start the process of an awareness, and then hopefully the demand begins, right? Because that's part of the issue right now is only certain parts of the US is there a demand. Like I would be at Tampa Orlando Airport, Nico, going to and from SVB and asking anyone that I was in the car with or cab with or Uber, do you know what the sport is? And not one of them even knew what it was. So that getting the name out is going to be a big part of this, but it's got to start somewhere. And the PPL is really the only way, I think, at this point within the US that we can get that name out.
Just to pick up on that note, though, I want to pick up on that, which is I want a question for Nico. So, Nico, my question for you is, this is the inaugural season of the PPL. You're the very first MVP. Did the PPL meet your expectations or exceed your expectations? I'm just wondering, what were you thinking going in? And then now that we've had a full season, what are your thoughts looking back?
I'd say, I mean, for sure, it exceeded my expectations. I mean, Marcos has been talking about a couple years now, and I'm good friends with him. So he's implanted this vision in my brain, and I had my idea of what I thought it was going to be, but it completely exceeded expectations. I mean, I had an absolute amazing experience staying there for the full 5 weeks, getting to train with these high-level guys, Guga, Montiel Amada, Ruben. So for me, that was incredible. I enjoyed the matches, yes, but I really enjoyed the practice opportunities that I got. And actually, we almost didn't even stay there for the full 5 weeks. We were gonna fly back and forth, my girlfriend and I, Astrid, but she was like, "Let's just stay there for 5 weeks," and I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And I was so happy that we did. Because
I wanted to ask you about that actually, because like I really think that I think it was you guys, I think Arkansas and Vegas, where the teams that stayed on site the longest with their teams throughout the 5 weeks. Yep. What an interesting you guys end up making the playoffs and you play against each other, so there's definitely a recipe there. Miami, on the other hand, we had people there and not there, but never really had a full team there training in between matches. And I know for 4 or 5 weeks in a row, it didn't affect us, but maybe by the time we got to the semifinals, the chemistry of Cancun, who we lost to, potentially is what made the difference. Did you guys enjoy the experience of staying there for those 5 weeks? I mean, what amazing. You had your girlfriend with you, so that helps. Mike, his girlfriend is an incredible Padel player too. Astrid, she's wow. How tall is she, Nico?
She's taller than me. I mean, I think she's 6 foot.
Yeah. Wow.
She's got length. Yeah. She's got length. But overall, did you guys think that the experience there, and did you stay at SVB or did you stay at a hotel nearby?
No, yeah, we stayed at SVB, which I think made the experience better.
Just a reminder to the listeners that Nico's on a train, so we have spotty internet access here. Davis, I thought you were singing ZZ Top for a minute. That's okay, but just to finish that thought, Davis was singing ZZ Top. She's got length, right? Is that how it goes? And she knows how to use it on the Padel court.
Nico's young, dude. He doesn't know these older music references. He's cool, not like us, okay? You know who ZZ Top is, Nico?
I know who ZZ Top is.
Oh, shoot. Okay,
Nico's no fool. He knows ZZ Top. Come on.
Okay, I got it.
All right, we got you back, Nico. Please continue. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think the staying at SVB was what made the experience even better, because I got to wake up, go to the courts, train. I walked to the courts. I didn't have to Uber. I didn't have to drive. So just train. Maybe you chill for a little bit. We go out to lunch. We hit the gym. We go in the evening. We play a practice match. Walk back over to the site. I mean, the staying there was amazing. I'm
together.
Really glad that
you're just together. Yeah. Like, how can things go wrong if you're all together, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Was there any? So Mike and I had a little laugh this morning because we were looking back at on Instagram some comments that were made on Instagram of our last podcast. And first of all, when I first saw that there were 4 comments, my first impression was, wow, there were 4 listeners at least, so that's the first positive. But they were all making fun of our the way we pronounce the sport. So can you please clarify how to say the sport that you're so good at?
That's a good point. I mean, so I've been calling it just paddle for 5 years, but then at our club this year they wanted us to start calling it Padel. And I think the reason that they wanted to call it Padel, not only at our club but all around the U.S., is to help differentiate the sport from other sports. Like when I say I play paddle, people either think I mean pickleball or they think I mean platform tennis up in the Northeast. Platform tennis is also called paddle.
Yeah.
So I go back and forth between saying Padel and paddle.
Would you mind if I say it and then you two can critique it? Because I've noticed I'm a bit gun shy now. So I read the comments that I was saying the name of the sport wrong, and now I'm hesitant to say it at all. So here's how I say it.
Go for it.
Padel. Padel. Now, rip me to shreds. Tell me, where am I messing that up? I just want to know. I want to learn so I can get it right for the future.
Oh boy, Nico, you take that one. Is he saying it right?
He's thinking about it. What do you say? Okay, you're back there. Yeah, so I'll say it one more time.
Yeah.
Padel. Padel. Tell me where I'm going wrong.
Is he saying it right, Nico?
I think he's saying, yeah. I mean, the phonetics behind it, I don't know the right word, but P-U-H-D-E-L, Padel. Yeah. I mean, I go back and forth between saying paddle and Padel. I haven't been just saying one.
What us too. The comments that were made specifically were that we didn't have an accent behind the A, but instead the E. So like, I don't even know how I tried to listen back, Mike, on how you said it, unless you went Padel or something like that. I don't know.
No, you know what? So in my mind, I'm thinking of tennis superstar Rafael Nadal. That's how I think, and I rhyme it with his last name.
Padel.
So I've been saying Padel, and if I'm wrong, please somebody record yourself saying it properly and send it to me, and I will practice it all week. I want to get this right, but I say Padel.
Okay, you keep doing that, buddy. You go with that.
Yeah.
If we get destroyed on Instagram, that's good publicity.
Okay. I have a question, and tied to this question for Nico is a major announcement. So the PPL had a major announcement this week, and I'm going to just go to my notes to get the detail correct. But basically, there's a new franchise for next season in New York City. That's the big city. The Big Apple. This team will be called the New York Atlantics. By the way, Davis, I'm hoping next week we can talk to somebody behind the new franchise.
That's the goal. Yeah, we have the owner on.
But obviously, we talked about Daddy Yankee. There's growth in the PPL. What are your expectations, Nico, for next season? You now have 1 season under your belt. What are the expectations for season 2? And because of expansion, are you going to be an ambassador recruiting the other Nicos in the United States and elsewhere that could, could play a role in next season's PPL?
100%. I mean, I think that this first season, again, people, they had ideas, they had expectations, but nobody really knew how it was going to go. And I think everybody's seeing how much of a big success this first year was. I bet you're going to have a ton more people. Mexico. I think that was very underutilized because there's a lot of really good players in Mexico. So I bet you a lot more Mexican players that are going to sign up. The level's going to increase for sure. And I think for these expansion teams, honestly, I think they might have a little bit of a leg up because they're able to learn and see what everybody did last year to try to make things better for themselves their first year. I mean, Davis, you probably know firsthand. You were there for the first year. We didn't really know what to expect coming in, so everyone's kind of just going everything off the randomly, hoping that winging it exactly. So I think these new teams coming in are going to have kind of a step up because they can learn from past mistakes.
And Davis, what do you think of that nickname, the Atlantics, the New York City?
I think it's cool. I like it a lot. I like the logo. I like the kind of the green there's not a green team, right? So I like that's one of my favorite colors. So I like that. If they're looking for a GM, holler at me. Just kidding. Kind of. So no, I like it. I like it a lot. Now, Orlando has not announced a team name yet, and I've heard rumors and rumblings of Houston potentially coming in there too.
Wow.
So yeah, so I think it's exciting. New teams. The best thing that can happen to the PPL after season one is that more teams want to come in because it proves that it was a success, and it was a success on all levels. It was a success. To Nico's point, we didn't know what to expect and we were winging it, but we could not. There couldn't have been a better competitive 5 weeks of Padel in the sense of, by the last week, we didn't know who the hell was getting in the playoffs besides, I guess, Miami. I think everything was on. So you have all these teams at 3-2 and 4-2 and 3-3. Like they're like LA beat. We talk about it all the time on this podcast. LA beat and San Diego Stingrays didn't make the playoffs. Isn't that crazy, Nico?
I mean, if you were beginning of the season, if you were to tell me they would go 1-6 or whatever it was, I would think you're crazy. I mean, I thought that they were one of the best teams, and the fact that they didn't even make the playoffs is mind-blowing.
What do you think? What do you equate that to? I think, like, I have my view of it. It's certainly not the level of play of Luis Estrada and Neroni, but possibly it's just it comes down to they went to mixed a little bit, right? They went to mixed a few times. If you lose those mixed matches, you're not going to go anywhere. I think it was just so competitive with the leagues that with all the other teams that somebody had to lose. What do you think about as far as how competitive the league was and how close everything was?
I mean,
This is Robot Nico.
Nico comes in many shapes and sizes. This is Robot Nico.
Wait, does he lose the MVP if we find out he's a cyborg?
Oh, good.
Are there questions in the Constitution? Do you have to be fully human?
Hold on. I'm checking right now, but I think there is something here. I'm checking with lawyers. Are you part robot, Nico?
I'm actually fully robot.
Oh shoot, he went full robot.
This is the future of AI.
Robot.
Yeah, the future of artificial intelligence. Nico is Exhibit A.
Well, Nico, it was an incredible time having you on the podcast. I really wanted. I've been thinking about you for a bit now in all the right ways. We had a great time.
I've been thinking about you.
And every time I saw you, we always had a good man bro hug, and it was great to see you every single time at SVB. I'm so proud of you winning the MVP. I think Arkansas Matrix are a great team led by great people. I'll leave it with you a little bit. I just want to get in your final comments on how you think season 2 is going to shape up for the Arkansas Matrix.
I'm really excited. I mean, their first season was incredible. We built some really good team chemistry. I'm hoping we can continue pushing that forward to season 2. I'm excited to get more news on even how the format's going to go, because I don't think anybody has any idea what's going to happen with season 2. But I'm looking forward to the news because I had so much fun in season 1, and if they told me season 2 is happening in 2 more weeks, I'd be ready to rock and roll. But unfortunately it's not going to be until 2024. So I gotta wait a little bit longer.
We gotta wait a little bit, and you're right. The process isn't yet known. How many on the roster? What's the cap size going to be like? Is there an expansion draft? Are the new expansion teams going to be able to snag players from our current team? And all those different scenarios we don't know, but we will soon. I'm sure Arkansas is going to make sure they get you signed up as quick as we possibly can because you were their star. And we look forward to playing you in 2024 and having that friendly banter back and forth. But I need you to sign out on this podcast for us. So we've been going back and forth with Vamos as our sign out, and then the last couple of weeks has been Yabba Dabba Doo out of respect to the PPL champions Las Vegas Smash. So I'm going to let you decide, and you're going to surprise us after I count you down 3, 2, 1, which one of those you're going to decide. But then we know which way you're leaning there too, right? So again, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast. Try to get your friends to listen to it so we can have more than 10 people listen to it. And I'll count you down 3, 2, 1. You ready for this? 3,
I'm
2,
ready.
1.
Red, 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 red,
Oh,
red.
different direction.